Oh. Yeah,
Oh, it's got the metro. I don't know why yours does that.
Now it's off.
Podcasting.
Okay. Are we in?
I think we're
Are
in.
you ready?
We're in.
Cut to comfortably seated on the couch.
Natural.
Movie making magic.
Sitting together.
The old
Little Evo. Oh, ha. Ha Clinton Dix.
So we're going.
Favorite
we're going
NFL professional
you,
football player.
Then you, then me. Is that
Yeah.
what my understanding is?
One,
Yeah.
two.
Sean, you're always the
I'll
light,
take the
creamy middle of our Oreo, aren't you?
I'll take it, baby.
Second topic, Sean.
Gives me time to.
Cool. Sarah, would you hit start on that iPad? Sweet. Thank you so
Sick.
much.
Best we don't forget how long we've been talking.
Sick.
All right, you boys ready to go?
Yeah, baby.
Super nervous.
All right. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Empty Theater Show. I'm your host, Craig Fairbanks, and on the far right we have,
Sean Hawkins.
and in the middle, now finished with his
I
drink.
appreciate you skipping that
I
inopportune
just zigged when you
I
needed
was
me
thinking
to.
about it too. I was like, this is the wrong time to be drinking coffee, man.
Podcasting with cameras is hard.
I'm Steve Bishakis.
Yeah, Steve Bouchakis. That's definitely it.
Big
So, if you guys aren't familiar with the show, the Empty Theater Show is basically you get a few different artists together. They can be dancers, musicians, actors. It doesn't matter. We all bring a topic to the couch or table, and we just discuss it to our heart's content. We used to do this at a table. Sean, don't laugh at that.
There's one right there.
Yeah, it's a coffee table.
You can see it.
I just thought it was
There
funny.
are things that you're using that are sitting on
I
it.
just thought what you were saying was funny.
Okay.
So that's basically the way the show goes. So I think Michael's going to kick us off tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'll give it to you.
Yeah, so the topic that I wanted to talk about today was really more of just a general overview of immersive interactive environmental theater. Because a lot of people don't know what it is. Or
Yeah.
if they do, it's like a very limited exposure to it, which is totally fine.
Mhm.
So,
Should I have brought my notebook?
no, you can use anything you want to jot, you just scribble away.
Ooh, unprepared.
Do you not have a pen? No, that's the problem. If you don't have a pen, we're out of live.
I got this. You,
Okay.
you go.
Go
I'll
ahead.
listen.
Just toss it.
I'll go to the green room in our studio.
I don't need. It's all,
Nah.
it was fine. That's good. Go. I shouldn't have brought it.
It's our show. We can do what we want. Keep going, Michael.
All right. So just to give a brief little overview of that, because that's one of the things that the Empty Theater Company is big on. It's a company that's built on the ideas that came about from exploring space and perspective from audience experience and really paying close attention to how the work would be perceived from the other side rather than creating something and not necessarily asking the question of, oh, I hope that they think it's funny, or like, oh, I don't know if they liked it, or if they like really understood what we were going for, if like they appreciated our very specific rendition of our town that's been produced 10,000 times before this. So I would say that the biggest thing that any sort of immersive interactive environmental theater piece has, at least for me, I think it's a matter of perspective. So typically in a theatrical setting, it's, you know exactly what it is that you're going into. You know, you walk
As the
in.
audience member?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
walk in at 7:15. If you have tickets at will call, you get them. If you don't, you buy them. You go upstairs. You find your seat. An usher, if you're lucky, takes you there, sits you down. You look at your phone for 5 or 10 minutes. You send off a couple of text messages. You talk to the person that you came to. The lights flicker up and down, up and down. Director comes out. Show curtain goes up. Show begins. Intermission.
Mhm.
Go back. See the second half. Clap at the end when the curtain rises. And with an environmental theater piece, it's a lot of the times it can be site specific. I don't know if it's necessarily limited to that, but
Sure.
that's definitely a quality about it. But you are closing down the space between audience and performer. So where you would have, a 370 seat house proscenium stage, you're essentially putting it in either a black box or a found space, and you are allowing the audience members to get as close to the action as possible or as far away as they would like. And where the interactive element comes into it is if you are weaving in narrative that draws the audience member in. So, for example, if you guys were an audience here in like our space for this show, if I wanted to make a beat or a moment interactive, say if we were making this cup of coffee, I would have you make it with me, and then once we're done, I would pour you a cup, I would have my cup, and then we would drink it together. So instead of me showing you like, oh, this is coffee, which really it's gin, but if it were coffee, I'm drinking it, and you think that it's coffee because you see a coffee mug and you associate with your brain, oh, that's a coffee mug, what does it hold in it? Coffee, great, you know. But it does something really, really cool when you do something with interactive theater to where you go through and you make something with a character and then you enjoy it with them, and it can be for anything.
And I think the benefit of that is, at least for me with the interactive shows I've seen, is it gives you a more present perspective on the art that's happening, because there is always the kind of like what could happen next factor when you're in the room and you're like a foot or 3 feet from the actor. Whereas sometimes, like you were saying, if you're seeing something like maybe Our Town for, you know, a play you're familiar with, maybe in your proscenium a few hundred feet away, it's much easier to lose that present perspective with the work you're seeing, and you can miss something or just be less engaged in general.
Sure.
Have you guys seen? I feel like I have not seen any immersive theater, but been a part of the one we've specifically been a part of.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't even seen anything in New York or anything that. So I don't know what it's like to be on the other side of it. But as an actor, I think it's really exciting and interesting. Sharing a piece of toast that you just buttered with the audience.
Yeah, it's awesome.
There's something really unique about
a cigarette.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we were part of a show in Nashville last fall called Since I Suppose.
Yes.
And it was set up such throughout the city that you would start. It literally covered miles of the city. So it'd start downtown at the Hermitage and then go around, and you'd end up kind of closer to, I guess closer to where Belmont is.
Oh yeah, the end
What's
was right
that? What's
off
that street called? Ha! Thank goodness.
I don't even know what city we're talking about.
We made it out, guys.
Totally
we
got it.
freaking made it.
Oh my goodness.
Wedgwood, and that intersection.
Yes, that's
65.
right. But anyway, the point being, we stayed in our own little place along this whole giant route, so we never got to see anyone else until we did dress rehearsal, and then we actually got to perform our part and then join the audience and go watch the show. And I thought it was really poignant getting to see the people do that. Because we would all get together as a cast, but I would never get to see like Michael do his thing or the other people in the show, because I was always stuck on this like 3-block stretch downtown doing my part. So I think I definitely find it very powerful.
I think, yeah, it's unnerving to see, just because I think so much of theater, when it's effective, is based on your expectation. I think overall, like, you know, it's the same with a movie. If you watch a really dramatic thriller without a score, it's so easy to laugh at Disturbia when it's just like Shia LaBeouf running around with that old dude who's in everything, and you're like, that's really goofy. But when you have the music, it's like, oh, that's like really, because it's cueing you, it's telling you what it is that you should be feeling before you feel it, and then once you feel it, it's like validating that over and over and over again.
And it'd be like seeing a horror movie versus like maybe going to like a haunted house, where you know they're both like fake, but you feel so present in the haunted house that you feel like if someone does jump out, they actually could get you, even though you know you're safe. I think it just like engages like your physical senses in a different way.
Well, I think what's really beautiful about it is, as an actor, you try, especially with theater, each night you try to make it a different performance. You know, you try to keep it in the moment and fresh. But I think with immersive theater, especially from my experience doing it, is that you are forced to have a different experience each night, because you literally, as an actor, don't know what somebody's going to do, how close they're going to get to your face, what they're going to touch, how they're going to get in your way when you're used to going a certain direction or path or whatnot. So I thought doing that for however many runs we did it was
challenging.
It forced you, but maybe not even for the audience too. It forced, say you came to the show 3 nights in a row, and you could stand in a totally different spot and get a totally different experience. I think that makes people, that would make me as an audience member want to come back to a show.
Right.
Instead of going to see a show that you're sitting in the same seat or sitting in whatever.
Michael, can you kind of explain how By the Bodcast, the show Sean's talking about, functioned, as in like the action of the place happening here, but throughout the whole space, it was actually still going?
Yeah, so in short, it was a show that all 3 of us were involved in. I was directing. It was your senior capstone to Flora Noob, and then you were cast in it as well as a junior. So essentially how it worked is we had two different tracks. So we had one that was a given set of circumstances, that was the script. So By the Bog of Cats is actually a play. It was written by Marina Carr. It's based on the Irish tragedy, the
Marina
Greek
Carr.
tragedy of Marina Carr of Medea. So it was based off of the Greek tragedy Medea, but it was told in a, what would you say, 20th century Irish traveler kind of like Goonies.
Yeah, it gives you the vibe.
It was a modern retelling.
Yeah.
So that was something that we were working with. It was an 80 or 90 page script. So we knew that we had to have the first scene, the second, the third, all the way through to the end. And how we essentially changed it is that we put it in a black box. We put it in a promenade for the set design, the lighting, and the sound we had, all throughout. And we essentially, as audience members were coming in, we had a one-on-one, or it was like a 10-on-1 with each of them. And I basically walked through and gave a director's speech and said, you're going to have actors that are going to be about the space. You can move around. You can get as close to them as you want. You can stay as far away from them as you want. They might offer, quite simply, to give you a hand, and if you take it, expect some sort of experience to follow. And it could be something as simple as handing a cup of coffee to an audience member, or it could be something as complicated as like setting a table with like silverware and glasses and food and all of this stuff. So all of the characters, the actors, were to stay on stage for the entirety of the show. So for the duration of the given circumstances, the script, they were on stage. So if, for example, Sean had a scene with Craig and that was given, it was written in the text, once that scene was over, they wouldn't exit and leave. They would stay on and they would continue the life of the character. So if Sean needed to go meet somebody else, instead of leaving, he would actually go and find that character and he would have the conversation that they were referencing. So
it was kind of like if the cast was like pieces on a chessboard, maybe two pieces are talking together, if you will, in the metaphor, and they're the given circumstances. But the rest of the cast is still on the board, and they're all inhabiting the space as those characters would in that setting.
And those circumstances were created, or I think the term we used was like constructed or something. So we had the play takes place over about a 15-hour span, so we knew based on when the scenes happened in the story or in the script that that scene one would be at like 7:30 a.m. and then another one would be at like 6 o'clock in the evening. So we had that timeline, and then whenever somebody deviated from the given, we would have each of the characters, and it was like a 15-person cast or something crazy, and they would all come up with their own unique timelines to continue when they weren't on stage acting in their scenes. So it was something that it's not a new idea. Like, we didn't come up with this. We ripped it off of a lot more talented, more intelligent artists than we are, and we basically just took the rubric, made it something our own, and that was, I guess, kind of like the inception of this theater company, is that we saw
it's
not
just stealing other people's work.
Well, yeah, but
just
like
finding people who can do things we can't.
Yeah.
And being like, let's do
like
that much worse.
Yeah.
And try and make a
Yeah.
living.
Well, yeah, we tried basically just to do it our own way, and
Exactly.
so it is, yeah. We didn't invent the guitar, but
I was
saw other
just
people
thinking,
play
it's like virtual reality, but minus the headache. Immersive theater, right?
Oh, yeah.
See,
virtual reality, it makes my head spin, my dick tingle. I like it.
Signals. No, I think you make a really good point.
Oh,
after
good.
I
I'm glad.
Yeah.
After you've talked to me.
No,
But,
because you get to kind of, it's a choose your own adventure, right?
Yeah.
You kind of get to be the cameraman in this movie. Like, it's handheld and you get to go and see whatever you want to see, and that informs the context of the piece of art in general.
basically, I'm saying that I think it's a necessary step for theater to keep a certain interest level in maybe a younger crowd or a newer crowd, or
That's the hope.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
I was thinking about that too, because I think it's hard if you have, at least sometimes for my interest, it can feel hard if you're an audience member and you're sitting and you're looking at a thing, and that thing is either this proscenium stage or it's a screen. I feel like a lot more can happen on that screen film as a medium
absolutely.
than can happen on stage. And there's still something to be said for being there in person. But I find if I'm not in the first 6 to 8 rows, of a proscenium theater, it's like you're so far away, it can be hard to feel like you're actually there.
Now, what do you mean by the differences between the things that can happen on screen versus stage? Do you mean in terms of cuts, you can change or transition or go to anywhere else quickly and you don't have to establish oh shit, where are we? I don't know.
Sort of all of that. I think you can keep obviously quicker pacing and between transitions and scenes on film.
I think
But
with film, I don't mean to interrupt, but to answer that question,
Okay.
is it okay?
Yeah.
How close you can get to the actors in film.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh, okay.
Versus
Yeah,
in a
I
theater,
see
you
that.
could, even if you're 2 rows away, you still can't see every expression and line on their face.
Right.
But in a film, you can just see everything.
Well, and that's what I like so much about being an audience member and watching, because I saw other immersive theater pieces before I directed you guys, but once I got into the room and was able to see almost like what you were saying, like a camera, you can almost, it's just the most amazing thing when you can move through a space and you can create interesting pictures the same way a film editor or a DP on set would be okay, well now I want an over-the-shoulder dirty single of this, and then I'm going to revert. You can do that yourself and say, all right, well this is the picture that I want to make right now for me. If 2 of us are talking like this, I want to be right there, straight on, nice and wide, nice and close, like a really wide angle lens, or you can get a little bit further back and see more of it. It's just, it does something for it, I would say, that's really exciting.
No, I definitely agree.
And personally, I think it's easier to act, going back to your point,
Oh, I was
because it changes, because it's you don't even have to worry about yourself at that point. You're not having to pack stuff. It's you've got people right there, and that's giving you something new every single moment of every single scene.
I would argue that transitions are smoother in film too, because they just can be.
Yeah.
You
'Cause
just
you can
can't
just-
mimic that on stage.
Sure.
Even if you think of Bogger Cats, literally what the other actors were doing while there was a scene was
Mhm.
standing, and then they had to burst. You just can't
Oh,
make.
sure.
You can't
It's
trick
hard
the
to break
mind.
the illusion. Yeah.
Mhm.
So you have to go into a theater, and you have to. What do they call it? What's Meisner?
Suspending the
suspending
disbelief.
of disbelief. You have to do that, even with film. But I think it's much easier in film to sit there and be like, "Wow, this is real. This feels so true."
No, I agree.
Anyway, I don't know.
I also think you said you think it's easier to act in an immersive piece. I think it almost feels like when you're someone has a close up on you, it just kind of you just kind of feel like you're zoned in.
Yeah, and you don't have to be.
But then
so-
everything's something, it's you just doing something. It's not intentional. Oh, I'm gonna be nice and quirky with this coffee cup. It's you're sitting there and you're just oh shit, I got a little right there, and
Right.
that's interesting to see. And you would lose that from 70 yards away.
Sure.
If you're in the back of the house.
So why else do you think immersive theater is important, guys? Besides the increase of the audience perspective, how do you think it's important for moving the theater genre into 21st century?
I'll put the flag on the ground on this one because it's new. It's fucking new, and it's different. It's the same way. It's mono to stereo, the sound. It's the jump in 4-track recording to 8, and then so on and so forth. It's just, we've done the proscenium thing. We've done theater as religion. We've done theater as spectacle. We've done theater as realism. All of this stuff from that perspective of the audience being so far removed. And now the new thing is, all right, well, if you want to watch somebody act, go up and see what it is that they're doing rather than just relying on, lights and sound and this and that and the other from so far away to inform all of that stuff for you.
Sure.
I think it's the future. I think any of this, whether theater's going to last, it will not. The way that the model is now, it's broken. Audiences are getting older. Nobody's going to the theater under the age of 25. It's not to say that there aren't new playwrights. I'm sure there are hundreds and thousands of playwrights out there that are making really cool and exciting stuff, but unfortunately the model as it stands, those people will not get their work seen. You might get something like a New Works Festival, which is great and that's cool, but the money isn't. People just want to pay to see the Whipping Man or whatever.
Right.
The flavor of 3 years ago that just came off of a national tour.
Well, I feel like it's got to get to the point where like in the music world now, you can't be, listening with your headphones to, with your, $300 headphones to an album that you love. But people still pay that much money again to go see someone live for all the stuff that isn't scripted, for all the stuff that's like, oh, they covered this song and then they did this and it was different. I got to see how they behaved in this space. It's like a living individual. I think it has to get to that. Like right now, I feel like if you're looking at acting as a medium, I think film would be kind of like listening to the music on your headphones. Like it's a pretty good experience, to watch in your PJs from home, or even if you pay, $15 and go to the theater. But there has to be something about actually seeing the live thing and getting to say, like, I was there for this experience and I saw this. Not that you necessarily consider the people in the company someone who you have to see live as you would like maybe your favorite musical artist, but there's something about the event that you got to see that was live.
And that's built into the theater, the fact that it is temporal and it's a moment that will never be, you could do the same show, you could prepare, you could have the same beats and score the scene the same way and make the same choices, and it's still going to yield different results. Even as subtle as they may be, it is still different. So, but what were you going to say earlier?
I was just going to ask, why does it work for... It's all about getting people out of the house and away from their TV. You got to convince people to get out of their house. But why does it work for music and not for theater the same way?
I wonder if it's because
sexier.
You just get what you hear with music, and then when you go to the show, you get to see it, you get to feel it, and you still get to hear it as well. Like, and you know what I mean? You add so much.
Yeah. So film is a huge competitor to theater just because of how much it offers you in music, audio, visual, and I don't know what else.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
but at the same time, I think that it's just for me, like the differences between film and theater is what makes theater so exciting, and it seems to be from whenever I hear people talking about theater, it's like all of them are talking about stuff that has nothing to do with the art form. It's really about like the practice of making it and the people they just sucked at making it and they didn't do, it's like, oh, I didn't connect to it, or I didn't, it was just boring, or it was slow, or like I didn't understand it. And it's like, well, yeah, because they probably didn't understand it, or they probably,
well, think of the general public's experience with live theater too, is sometimes it reaches the span of like middle school or high school, even for adults or whatever, but that's like that's what you're exposed to. And the level, the quality of that theater is obviously much different than what you would pay to go see out and about. And I feel like, if you get a bad taste of something, you're not going to get a bad taste of film and TV when you first sit down and watch it in middle school or high school. But if you get a bad taste of theater, maybe you'll say, yeah, it was not very great, and I actually wasted 2 hours seeing that, and I don't want to go pay to see it. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of...
it's
a long shot.
No, it's got to be the difference between seeing like a youth t-ball game and like a professional baseball game.
Yeah.
Like they might be your kid and that might be great, but who's going to see a t-ball team play when they don't have kids in it?
Yeah, I don't know.
I also think price of ticket can be a barrier to entry for people.
For what? For theater?
Oh, yeah.
In general?
Yeah.
Like, wait, are we talking drama or musicals? Or like plays or musicals?
If they're professional. Because, if you're taking Sean's example and saying someone who's only seen plays maybe at the high school level, they're not going to want to go even drop $30 to go see The Glass Menagerie somewhere, because like that's $30. Like they could go.
It's groceries. Gas.
Yeah, they could go do a lot else with that money. I think it's expensive.
So what do? Do you make the quality of the work so much more than the price of admission? So if you pay $30 for a theatrical experience and you get blown away because you're given a $300 experience, like the value of it, do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
How do you combat that? Like, is it a numbers game at that point? If you're working on that sort of the sliding scale of, tickets for, whatever show are $30, it's really a $300 experience. People are jazzed by the fact that they only paid $30 to see something that blew their hair back, like a $300 live show, or Hamilton the musical. That'd be a long shot, but like Hamilton.
Sure.
And then they go tell all of their friends. It's like, listen, I saw this show for $30, and then everybody starts coming to see it, and then you're just.
Yeah, I think you're on to it there. You got to somehow make theater a community thing in the States again, and it's really not. it's kind of like a selective audience thing. It's not something you build a community around.
How would you do that? What would be?
I think it was what I was just thinking about it, but I think it's what you always say all the time is like, instead of running the same material that we continue to run, not that you can't, but all the greatest plays that we run in Shakespeare and all that stuff, maybe it's just time for some new theater that fits more with the immersive experience, just a new energy to it, and maybe that's just what it takes, is something new to build it. I mean, I would think in New York, where they're doing the amount of immersive theater there is, there's got to be a community behind some of that, right? You would think that's a huge scene.
Stuff over it.
So it's just a matter of, well, everybody else has got to catch on. There's nothing, I hope I'm okay to say this, but in Los Angeles, there's nothing quite to that level that
I think the
New York
closest you get is like the immersive haunted houses, but it's like seasonal.
Yeah,
and it's
and that's, I mean, it's not exactly the direction, but
Yeah, I think there's just something to be said about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel good about that.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's good.
cool. I just wanted to double check. I couldn't really see.
Yeah,
the
no,
angle. There was a glare on
got
it.
to.
Oh no, I lost my train of thought.
That's okay. That's all I had to say about it. That was it.
Yeah.
I got nothing more.
No, I think it's an interesting conundrum for sure.
So I guess the challenge moving forward is to try to make theater that is engaging, that does catch audiences, demographics, people exactly where they are, and make something that is so much more valuable than what it is that they're paying for. So I think that's a bit, that's how like Netflix works. Like all of those shows for only $8 a month, that's not that's so much more value than what it is that you're actually paying. Even if you only watch 10 or 15 hours of content a month, which is about what they are expecting you to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure they would want you to binge watch all of their original series and all of that stuff, but I mean, in reality, like how long are you, that's about $8 worth of time. I'd be curious to see like how long the average Netflix customer stays on.
Probably a long time.
yeah.
Really? You think
I'd
more
be
than
curious.
that? More
Yeah.
than 15 hours a month? More than 30?
I
Oh, I
personally
misunderstood
don't,
what you were saying. I thought you were saying how long they stay subscribed
No.
months-wise. You mean how much they watch a month?
Yeah, because it's like it's almost like an all-you-can-eat buffet. It's like you pay $13.95 and you only eat like $10 worth of food. Well, they got you on that one.
Right.
Or are you the person who goes in and you eat like $60 worth of food and it's all you can eat, so you're only paying. So I'm wondering like how that works for Netflix. Is it's $8 a month, but are people on average only watching 3 or 4 hours worth of television, or a month or a week, or
Yeah, it's hard to
is
know.
it 15? Is it 30?
We're just
I don't know why.
we're just speculating now, but I would assume that there's the people that like use it and then the people that don't, and then that just like blurs all the numbers.
Okay.
Because you got your grandma who's like, I got Netflix, and then doesn't ever use it, and that's fine. She just doesn't use it. I say that to specifically stereotype the old people. Who
I'll say
exactly what I was trying to do
anecdotally.
there. Take
My
it that
grandmother
way.
has Netflix on her iPad and she uses it as a paperweight. So yeah, that scans. That checks out. Every old person is just like that.
Oh boy.
Well, last thing.
Hi, Mimi.
Oh,
Just watch it. Maybe I don't know.
shout outs to the grandparents and
Maybe.
the. Yeah.
What's next? Let's give us.
I have one last thing I want to
Sean's
say.
gonna say the last thing, and it'll be go profound.
Alright.
I don't know if I would like to see it go this way, but what if it took something for immersive theater? Like, what if it took a technological type advance in that area where maybe when you start to see some of these, like we're getting closer to the contact lenses that can portray different things, or audio implants that give you the music without ever having to wear anything and feel like you're distanced from the experience. What if you're having the theater experience and being close, but you're still getting the audio without having to wear anything, or you're getting the visual without having to wear anything, and all of a sudden it becomes like you're literally a part of it, and people would rather go see theater instead of sit in front of a film, because all of a sudden film is obsolete, and being in a live experience with everything is so much realer than, I don't know, maybe that's not that I would like to see. I think I go to theater to step away from technology, but it would be
Right.
interesting to see if as we come closer
Oof,
to these
that's a lot of
points.
topic.
No, I think the audio aspect would be awesome. That was a part of when we did Since I Suppose, is the people got guided through the path. They had a cell phone with a video that showed how they should walk, and then they got voiceover in headphones.
Imagine that's incredible, but imagine when it gets to the point where they don't have to wear headphones,
Right.
and they don't have to hold the phone because they can see it all. I mean, it's an episode of Black Mirror.
Sure.
I mean, it literally is an episode of Black Mirror. But just
All
think
theater
about
is
when
an
that.
episode of Black Mirror.
Yeah.
No.
It's just- no, that's it.
Life's
It's
the
just
theater,
be-
man. Like
Yeah.
we're all like living in the spotlight now. I mean, I
Life's a stage.
Spotlight starring Michael Keaton,
Oh my
Rachel
god.
McAdams, Mark Ruffalo.
Did you see that on Netflix?
Tom
No, I saw it. I think I saw that in theater,
Rob-
actually.
Okay.
Thomas.
Rob Thomas. Sean, what's the next topic?
Okay, well, nice segue. The next topic mine was about balancing your life and your art as a artist of any level. I think it's a constant from what I've learned in the past. I mean, from going from music to theater to film, I feel like each step in your life is you find different ways to cope with how you balance your life and art. And I feel like as I get older, I learn that I used to hold the art in higher regard, but now I'm starting to get to the point, and this may change again, but I'm getting to the point where I realize that life is what feeds the art. So if you're not getting enough life, you're not going to be able to mature your art. So I don't know. I'm just curious how you guys cope with that.
Poorly.
Yeah, well, I feel like it's always a poor.
That's my joke.
I feel like it's always.
Oh,
It's never
man.
easy.
Sean, this is the root of like all of my anxiety.
Well, did I pick the best question then?
No, I think it's a good
You
question.
picked at the most painful scab.
Yeah, you just stab me. No, I think I definitely stress between, am I spending enough time worrying about my art? Am I as dedicated as I should be? Am I putting in the hours? Am I getting the reps? Am I thinking about the right things? And then I also think that maybe I'm thinking too much and I need to just relax and think more about my life and just kind of like be a little bit more present with day-to-day things that are going on, et cetera, et cetera. And then I swing back to you're being lazy and you're unfocused and all this. And this can happen like 80 times back and forth in one day or in like one afternoon of trying to work on something artistic. So I guess, I don't know how you balance it, because I think there's a bit of you want to kind of be a bit of there's something romanticized about the idea of that struggle being what motivates you to, create or keep working. But I'm not sure if that's actually something that's true or if it's just an ideal that's maybe a little misguided. Does that make sense?
Well, I like that you just said that. I was thinking when you were saying that is that I think that ultimately it's like the life and art are much closer than we think, and I think the business of art or the business of life is what muddles the two. I think art and life are the same. We separate them for some reason because of the business that comes in between, like you thinking that you have to, for instance, submit on Actors Access every day, and because you're not doing that, you're not progressing your art. But
Sure.
really, the art in your life is the life in your art type of. It kind of flows this. Wow. Little Vino.
I never thought about it like
Little
that.
Vino.
No, keep going.
Yeah.
Just listening.
So wait, so for you, does art inform life, or does life inform art, or are you saying something completely different and that they're actually one and the same?
Well, now as I just was looking into Craig's eyes, that
I'm just trying to be present.
Over here, then I want to see this.
I just think that now I feel like in this conversation, maybe they're more similar than we think, but we separate them because of what it takes to get to the level that we want to get to, and it takes a lot of business. It's because art is a business for us, for theater, for film, for anything. It's a business, so we have to we muddy it with
The busy work.
The busy
am I meeting
work.
the people?
Am I meeting- yeah,
am
yeah.
I learning
Networking.
Am I learning the things?
when really. Yeah, I don't know where I want to. I don't know how I could even go with that. Really, it doesn't answer the question.
Really,
The
you
question
just
was how
want
do
to
you
be
cope
in the garage with your acrylic
with a
paint,
paintbrush?
a little bit of Matchbox
Naked.
20, naked, just feeling your life and your art.
Maybe that's where it takes you, though. Jim Carrey's there right now, after years, decades of like,
Topical.
one of the best careers on film
And he's
ever, and threw it all away and was like, this stuff is shit, it's garbage, it's all fake, nothing is real, all I know is what I love, and that's to paint. And the funny thing is that people look at that guy and they're like, oh, he's crazy. Did you see it? He's crazy.
Yeah.
How he talked to that lady on New York Fashion Week. He's a madman. He's nuts.
I don't know if I'd
It's
call him
because
crazy. But
artists
it's a little
either.
unwell.
I wouldn't either. No, I mean, I think it's admirable for
No,
somebody
it
is like, you can't tell me if you were Jim Carrey and you walked in anywhere, you could get a movie made, or you could get a script greenlit for you, or you could get, you know, whatever group of people together. I mean, that's power, right? I mean, he's got he is like an A-list celebrity, and that's crazy to throw that. I mean, not like crazy. It's crazy in the sense that he has all of that, and yet he walks away from it.
Well, I think
where most people would kill for that opportunity.
Absolutely. I mean, that's where we're at. But I think artists walk this fine line of wanting to be the most seen and the most unseen people at the same time.
Right.
And I think that it's because what we do, we need to share with the world, but it's also our most personal thing. So it's like this. It's all contradiction. That's all it is. That's all art is. I think it's just constant contradiction.
Do you feel like that's the contradictions are highlighted by the more people that see it, rather
Sure.
than like less? So if only 200 people saw you in By the Bog of Cats, for example, or if 2.2 million people saw you in By the Bog of Cats, would there be a difference if you did everything exactly the same, identical?
For you personally. For you personally, you shouldn't. But again, I think you'd be affected by the amount of, if say you could listen to the opinions or the whatever they had to say after the show. I think it would most certainly affect. And that's someone like Jim Carrey who had that amount of attention tenfold. Now the haters has stepped back and said, "I need a break." I don't know.
For you.
Anyway, this is cycling out of control.
Well, I think you bring up what that makes me think of is like, what do you define success as? Because I don't think any of us probably ever got into acting because we're like, we want to be rich and famous. It's like, yeah, I would love to be at that level one day just because I think I'd get to make really cool stuff with really cool people.
I just wanted to make out with Anna Melvin. She's 2 grades older than me in middle school. Bless her.
No.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay, so how can we tie that into coping with what you just said? Because I think that's very interesting. We didn't get in it for the money and the fame, but at the same time, as artists, we're narcissistic at least enough to believe that we're going to reach that level. I mean, at least.
I don't know. Do you feel that way then? Like, because right now that nobody is seeing this.
2 people are actually seeing it.
Nobody.
Yeah,
Well, okay,
but I don't believe.
like,
I don't believe it's a time. I don't believe it's on anybody's timeline. I think that if you continue to do.
I could put on my.
Yeah, you're right. No, ultimately you're right. I don't care as long as I'm doing what I want to be doing and I love what I'm doing. I don't give a shit. I mean, I'm surviving right now with very minimal money in my accounts, but
your shirt still looks clean. You got socks on with those shoes. They match even. You're
Gosh darn it! You got quirky but personable accessories out the
Please keep going. Feed me. I'm hungry.
Oh man.
What was the point of this story? Another glass of wine over here. Wait.
I don't know. I see where it is that you're saying, but I don't know. I don't know if any of us are feeling like we want. Like it's not my hope for this to be seen by millions of people.
No.
Like or any of the art that I've ever made, I've never wanted to be seen by millions of people.
So how do you explain that? It's an expression of just. Is it more? It's just therapeutic for you?
No, I think it's more about like you make art to learn how to make better art, and so then you go and make better art, and then through that you make, and it stacks and it stacks and it stacks. And it's the same thing with like money if you're looking at it from the business side, and this is straight from Joseph Gordon-Levitt's hit record that record that model of you make money to make art and then you make better art so you make more money and then you dump back and forth
That's
and it's
what it
just cyclical.
is. Because we'll never be happy with just having money to go gallivant. That's not what it's about. I see you smirking. You smirk every time.
No, sometimes I switch, like my head switches between like just wanting to do color commentary on this without being like an intellectual like part of the conversation, and then I have to like say no to that part of my brain and go back. I feel like I derailed you. Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
No, you're right. That's exactly what it is. I only want the money so that I can make the films that I want to make, to then make the films that I then want to make over and over. That's all I want the money for. Yeah, the house would be a great addition. And
just a house, not a mansion, but a house. Just a building that...
Stability.
Yeah. But that all goes away. Because if all of a sudden you stop hearing the music or seeing the colors or
No, because you don't know what desperation is until you walk into your kitchen at 2 o'clock in the morning and it's 97 degrees and it's hot and you're about to pass out just getting some water out of the refrigerator and you're like, man, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be getting screamed at by my 88-year-old neighbor coming over and telling me not to do laundry at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
That's what. Those are the best stories right there. So why would you trade? I would never trade starting at the bottom floor. I would never trade it.
You wouldn't want to be Drew Barrymore? Or you would want to be...
I
You
could.
wouldn't want to be like Joseph Gordon-Levitt? He's the Rock from the Sun. It's young. It's a child star.
I wouldn't want to be.
Wouldn't want to be Leo? No?
That's a
You'd
You
want to
always want to be Leo.
We got him.
I mean,
he's
he's
the
we
one.
got
He's the
him.
one movie star that we.
he's the best Ninja Turtle.
Which, oh yeah, no, of course. Leonardo was the best. He was my favorite.
All right, it's tough, but
I
see,
like
that's
Michelangelo.
exactly this conversation.
Yeah.
This is the point. It's like we're narcissistic at the same time as being just artists. I don't know, right? Because we want that level of whatever, but at
That's
the same time
unfair.
we don't.
Though. I hate that like artists are all
That's
narcissistic
unfair.
because everybody's fucking narcissistic.
But
Business
that's what I'm
people
saying.
are narcissistic.
That's all I'm saying.
Anybody
Yeah.
who starts a company is narcissistic. Like they think that they can do something better than anyone else who's ever started a sandwich shop. So
But
that's why
don't
they
you
open
need-
their sandwich shop.
You
And
need.
they name it after themselves, and they have it's like everybody's looking out for themselves. It's not specific to just people who make things.
Okay, good. So take where we're at right now.
Mm-hmm.
Answer my question. How do you cope?
Yes.
How do you cope with this type of turmoil? Like how do you balance your life and your art and everything that you want to do with this type of craziness?
Poorly.
Poorly.
I stick with that answer. For me, I try to do better, but
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just because where I'm at, but I feel really at peace with all of it. If 2 people watch this, if this gets 6 views on YouTube, that doesn't change any of the things that we have learned, and by proxy, hopefully, that like they can, see for themselves and unpack and. Or if 1,000 people or 1,000,000, whatever, like it doesn't, like that whole idea of notoriety doesn't make an idea or a lesson more or less valuable. And that, I think, that's a really dangerous, and that's a whole nother topic, but that's a super dangerous precedent that only seems to really exist in like American pop culture, that, the further your voice can reach or the louder it is, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's more important.
Exactly.
So so for me, going back to your question, it's all like nothing's for naught. It's all ingredients, it's all things that are getting thrown into the pie, and you might get to a certain point, you're like, oh, I messed that up, and then you gotta throw it out and you start back to 1. But you're not throwing out any of the things that you've learned, any of the things that have brought you to this place now. That stuff doesn't go out the window too. It just means that in that mixture, whatever it was that you were making, it didn't turn out right, or it didn't turn out as good as it could have been. All right, well now take this with that, take that with this, mix in a little bit of this, try something else that's different, and then you might get a different result that you then in turn can say, okay, great, I've learned something new. I can take that and you can immediately start applying it into other areas of your life. It's amazing the invisible strings that connect.
Yeah.
And so I have a really easy time justifying like this is just as valuable as getting a callback. This is just as valuable as booking a show. This is just as valuable as a play, or this is just as valuable as a commercial, or meeting somebody, or having a good conversation at a coffee house, or writing something that's really beneficial, or something that keeps you up at night, an idea that you just can't let go and you have to keep on thinking and thinking and thinking. It is all the same. So
Well said.
it's easy. I think from that perspective, how could you be worried about any of the stuff that's going on? Because it's all stuff that it's art and life. It's one and the same.
It's one and the same.
You can't separate it. You could go the next 3 months without acting, and you would probably learn more about yourself than,
Yeah.
and that makes you a better actor in the end.
Yeah.
so wait.
Less competition.
I think the way I try and I'll actually try and give you a good answer besides just saying poorly for the 3rd time.
I'm saying mine wasn't good.
No, I was saying
I'm
that mine
I'm kidding.
was referring to mine.
I'm kidding.
To try and remind myself of like what's going on, I have to usually refocus. So I'll do that through trying to meditate. I'll do that through trying to journal, just like stream of conscious journaling, trying to just like get out whatever's clogging up like the pipes, if you will, and just trying to like think clearly about like what's going on in my life.
Yeah.
So I think reinvesting yourself in other things that are important, like friends, family, just getting outside and appreciating that like the sun is shining and like the wind is blowing.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that can be good when you're clogged down with everything, because that can happen, and it can be a dark place to be if you don't feel like you have that creative voice inside you the way you did before.
Yes.
So it's just shifting whatever your perspective is on your situation to a slightly different angle and just trying to take a step forward.
Mm.
And I think that's where I'm at with that type of stuff right now.
Yeah.
So how do you balance
Yeah.
life and art?
I
Yeah.
thought I went with it, but
Yeah.
did I answer it? I thought I answered it.
I don't remember.
I talked for an awful long time.
I feel like I
Tired
haven't
of
talked.
It must be in there somewhere.
Mm.
No, so Craig, both of you have hit good points. It's the realization that it's all for something. It all has a. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I have to tell myself that it has some type of purpose to it. Everything I do, I don't regret what I do because I feel like it teaches me. Or at the set, like I'll get a play, and all of a sudden, that exactly where I am in my life is how I needed to feed that play. And then if I do get too bogged down, I go with Craig's answer that it's a matter of just stepping outside and breathing, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, it's a lot of craziness. I should just be kind of appreciative of what's directly in front of me. And even just sitting here in the realization of how similar life and art is, and I mean, like, how silly it is to think that they're not similar is it's kind of crazy, but
Hurts your brain.
yeah, my brain is all over the place right now, but
Hmm.
I think I got my topic for next week, so
Cool. Write it down.
A nice
Last
subtle
week I was like,
middle finger to
oh, I
crack.
thought of all these topics, and I didn't write them down. And then like yesterday, I was like, oh crap, I don't know what my topic is gonna
Try
be.
through it.
was that your Owen Wilson? That was almost like your Owen Wilson impression. Oh crap!
Can we all do our
crap.
really shitty Owen Wilson impression
I
really quick?
can't.
Let's hear it. No, you're
I-
really. It's crappy. I said it.
Wow.
I prefaced.
Wow!
Wow.
I can't believe. I can't believe.
Wow.
Oh wow! I can't. What's the guy's name?
I feel like mine always turns into Drew
Casting
Barrymore from The
directors.
Wedding Singer, right? I'm always like, wow, oh, and that's just, that's just so
Yours is
shitty.
nice and nasally. Oh wow! Wow!
Wow, I was
Was
on
that?
I was on the Darjeeling Limited. Wow. Wes Anderson and I have been to a couple of sex parties.
I mean, you don't hear that. You know exactly who it is when you hear it. I mean, if you compared it to Owen Wilson, it probably wouldn't be right.
No,
But-
not at
but
all,
Hearing
but-
you do it, it's like that's who that is.
It's kind of like a Michael Caine impression. It doesn't sound like Michael Caine, but you know the person's trying to do a
I
Michael
love
Caine
shitty
impression.
Michael Caine impressions.
And then I came
Well, it's
over
funnier
here.
because you know he hates it.
Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne came over the hill. I can't.
I
That's
thought you
mine's
said
too rough.
Bruce Wayne.
Bruce
I was like,
Wayne.
who's Bruce
I
Wayne?
can't do it.
No, it was great. It was wonderful.
It's like a rip-off cartoon.
Michael
Woke up ever since you was a little boy. Do it. Come on, Greg. You got it.
I can't think of
Yes,
a
you
line
can.
right now.
It doesn't matter. Say anything.
Never.
The Lamborghini then. Not
Oh,
so
man.
subtle then. I want to watch that movie tonight. The Dark Knight.
Oh man. Okay, so I'm gonna pivot from what
Pivot.
my original
Pivot.
topic.
Oh,
was
he's
gonna
calling
be.
an audible.
Yeah. So I like this vibe we've got going right now. So
He's
I want
not
to talk about silly situations that
Silly
you've had to be in
On stage?
Oh,
on
Specifically?
stage or
This is that
in
time
other
of the show.
I got the
circumstances.
best story.
Because
You guys
there was
go
a
ahead.
time in college
You
when
don't take my story.
for no reason. No, I'm not taking your
Okay,
story.
thank God.
I was in The Two Gentlemen of Verona, and my co-star's girlfriend was playing romantic lead opposite of me.
Uh-huh.
And the director wasn't in the script, but just decided we had to have a kiss at the end of the show. So, and not that there's anything wrong with a stage kiss, but her boyfriend was standing behind her. My girlfriend was watching from the audience. We were literally like in the middle of them. Everyone was like within 30
In a
feet of
circle,
each other.
yeah.
And it was just like, this is just weird. Like, it's a weird place to be in life where you have to like play these characters on stage, but like you can kind of see your girlfriend out of the corner of your eye, and you know like the boyfriend was the person who just like brought the girl up for you to kiss, and it's just like, what is going on? Why is this happening right now? I just think situations like that are just sometimes like, I don't know, like lying on the ground in an acting class, just like, and everyone's like, Exactly. It's just stupid. I mean, it's so useful
Triggering
and
and
great,
shit
but it's
all over
just
the
like
floor.
goofy.
But we have such great meaning for what those, like, we really have
Oh
some
yeah,
meaning.
such intentionality.
That's
Yeah,
art, man.
yeah. You gotta get that focused second circle voice.
What's the-
I
what's
can't.
the
I,
funniest
I
thing
wanted to
that's
think of
ever
a
happened to you on
stage one because I
stage?
feel like
Okay.
mine's going to be a film one.
Okay, well,
Hey, that's fair.
that's
Chance.
fine.
And it's
Put
not
it
even
in.
that crazy, but it's not crazy at all. But I just remember when I did my Crazy Ex, I had this sex scene with this girl, and it wasn't really a sex scene. We just had to make out in bed or whatever. But I remember the director being very perverted, and just it was kind of like he was in the room and he was just constantly keep doing that, do that. But it was so hot in the room, and I just remember I wasn't.
So you were into
something. I'm really good about getting in the. I'm in the moment. I feel.
Did you mean
like,
hot by temperature or hot by like sexual
Level
it
of
was hot,
sexuality.
It was definitely temperature. It was
Okay.
because where the story's going. And I just remember feeling really sick after making out with this girl for the third or fourth
yeah.
time, and it was like one of those things. And I usually am really good about staying connected. You're doing what you have to do. But I just remember, and then I remember her saying, she's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay." And I felt like I could have thrown up.
You had a damn heat stroke. They need to give you a Gatorade and some potassium tablets.
They had my tattooed like covered with makeup, so you couldn't see like a cross and all.
Right.
But it like third take in, it was like smudged. You know,
There's
like
no
finger-
God here, boy.
I can't think. I was like, something on stage would have been funny. Like,
What do you have, Michael?
yeah.
My favorite moment on stage had to be in Rumors. It was
Oh,
my favorite.
no.
It was my absolute
Oh, okay.
favorite. You'll
Bill?
appreciate this because you know everybody.
Ah.
So one time, so the stage, how it was set, it was like 20. The top level was like 27,000
big
feet
stage.
off of the ground. So I had this one bit where I was upstairs and I was
In the black box?
I was no in the
Trout.
trout. Dude, it was almost up to
Proscenium
the
theater.
it was almost up to the
Really?
It
Yeah,
was
the,
big.
you could touch.
So if you were in the balcony, people couldn't see.
Yeah, exactly that. Like, I think it cut off at the knees. Like, I was up. So I was in a bathroom or something in, like, the set, and Craig and Kyle are both down on stage, and they're looking over at each other like this, and they're just like both of them look like they got the meat sweats. Like, they just went to a restaurant and ate, like, way too much food. And it's like this, like, kind of like tunnel vision, like, 1,000-yard stare. Like, they're out and they're just, like, looking at each other.
Michael's like, what's going
And
on? Like,
Craig's like, I don't feel good. And Kyle's like, I don't feel good. And I look down at him and I'm like, hey, guys, what's up? And both of them just, like, turn and look and they're like, I think we're about to shit our pants.
but we had just come back from a break,
And they were
so there
about
was
to-
no way to stop. And like we were both like important characters in the scene that was happening, so there was nowhere to go. We'd sent the stage manager, I think, to get ginger ale.
And the funny
She
thing,
wasn't back yet.
but the director was working with people at the lip of the stage. So I was way back here. They were on this plane, like kind of equal to the theater, like the arch, and then all the way down stage. The director was talking like intimately with 2 or 3 of the other actors, and he was like really trying to like suss stuff out. And so these poor guys are sitting there like this, like bent over, like leaning on their elbows, just like. I think this
Just
might
the,
be
just
the
the
end.
worst feeling.
I started laughing
stomach pain.
hysterically.
You couldn't stop laughing.
I couldn't-
And it was like 20 minutes.
I was like pointing at them,
and we're
being
laughing
like,
at him laughing, and how ridiculous it is that we're on stage having this happen to us.
and it's
because
making them hurt more because the
Uh.
more they laugh, the more they feel like they're about to just shit themselves.
Also, in that show, there was the part when I've never had this big of a break of a cast at
Oh,
once.
dude, that was
but
terrible.
there was like the entire 8-person cast was on scene, and it's like the police officer's supposed to knock and come in, and everyone drops to the ground. Like all 8 people just go poof, and like who's gonna answer the door? I don't know. And something went wrong, and someone broke, and then
think I
another
fixed
person
something.
broke.
Wait, this is during a live show?
Yeah.
No, this was during
Oh,
a dress. It was like our
during a
final
dress,
dress.
yeah.
So like when you want everything to go perfect, and it was just like dominoes. Like people just broke to the point where like people are trying to act scared that this police officer's coming in, and people are like.
They're doing what we're doing right now. They're just like sitting there, like holding their mouths, being like.
It's just stuff like that that's so silly to be a part of. It's just ridiculous.
See, now you don't get that in film. That's the beauty of theater, is a little bit of breakage here and there, and like slip
Let's
ups.
get that on the blooper reel. Let's get that in special
Those
features. and the
Well, I
extras.
thought that'd be a good note to end on, but someone had to go ruin that.
Hey, you could always like put it on the blooper reel.
Okay, round 2. Will you make it a third round?
Well, I'm Steve Bashakis. It's been another talk between two studs.
Between two studs.
Yeah.
Much like Between Two Ferns, but
Like
more
we did
misleading.
get the- yeah, there we go.
You guys feel good about that?
Yeah, that's where you hang the picture, right there.
Yeah.
Picture?
Yep.
There's
Let's
the
see.
stud.
Did we get that? Did the audio get in there?
I think
Probably.
so.
We got 2 computers. Next time we'll have 4 computers, just in case.
Well, now you're just running over my chance to end the show.
You know, it is weird how yours is like you can't see anything going on. I was nervous too.
Yeah, because it looks. I think it's just runs purple. I think it works though.
Well,
I think we're
bye.
good.
Good. Hi, girls.
All right, we're stopping it.
Yeah, we'll stop it there.